Hi, it's Holly. So, it's Holly and I'm here with a series review, as promised, for like months now, of Lords of the Underworld by Gena Showalter. And I actually don't own any physical copies of any of these books. I own some in ebook, but that's it. And there are currently 12 books in this series, like 12 main novels. And the 13th one comes out in June. And it's a paranormal romance series, and all of the titles are like the darkest blank for the most part. So like the darkest night, the darkest surrender, the darkest seduction, the darkest lie. Like the darkest night is the first one. And overall, I would give the series like 3.75 stars. My issues with the books are pretty much the same in every book. So really it's an issue with the whole series. And everything, but overall I enjoy it. I was recently rereading it so that I could do this review, plus I kind of just felt like rereading it, and I think I like it less on a reread, but I still enjoy it. So let's get into what it's about. So the main plot is that you have a group of men and one woman, and they were warriors for the Greek gods, or the Greeks, so like Zeus, Hera, all of that. And they ended up feeling spurned because the Greek gods, like Zeus, let Pandora watch the box, which became Pandora's box. So they decided to trick Pandora to take the box away to prove that like they should have been picked. Everything goes crazy and Pandora's box gets opened and all of these demons are let loose in the world, like the worst demons of the worst evil ever. So as a punishment, Zeus makes each of these warriors hold one of those demons in their body so that it's not loose in the world. So like they hold wrath and anger and defeat and lies, seduction, or promiscuity, I think is what he is. You know, things like that. And so the demons are like in them and kind of guide their actions. And if they don't feed the demon in a way, so like Gideon, who's the keeper of lies, that's what they are, like keepers. If he ever tells the truth, it like physically pains him, like debilitating pain. So that's how they all are. And then, so they're dealing with that, and now it's like present day. And on top of that, there's these group of people who think that they're just all the evil in the world and that they should be killed, but if they're killed, then their demons are released and all of that. We're dealing with some pretty dark stuff. And then the Titans get involved as well, and everything. And then of course their romances, so there's romance. And there are other paranormal creatures that show up as well, like there's angels, there's harpies, that kind of stuff. So the characters, they all are. All of the males are definitely intense alpha males, like feet on your chest, jealous about everything, over the top alpha males. That's pretty standard for a paranormal romance, so if you read paranormals, you're probably used to it. And there's some alpha females as well, which is kind of interesting to read about and nice to see. And they all have to deal with their demons internally, and it's so funny because like, you know, people have to deal with their demons all the time. These are like legit demons, and they have to deal with what like the demons have made them do and come to terms with that and what it means to have a demon inside of you. Like if they lose the demon, they're gonna die, so they have to kind of protect the demon to protect themselves. Like I said before, some of the females are alphas as well, and they're definitely physically strong. You definitely have some heroines who can hold their own physically. It's like a nice blend. They're almost all insta-love, which again is pretty standard for a paranormal romance in my experience, and that used to not really bother me, but now it kind of does. Like, I don't know if I've just changed or if I've just read more books now, so like my outlook is different, I don't know. But I still kind of like just have to separate, like this is a paranormal, this is a construct of this type of novel, and go with it. I will say that there are a lot of like forced interactions. I really hate to use the word forced because I feel like that makes it even worse, like makes it worse sounding than it actually is. But there's definitely a lot of that like oh, we're fighting, and like the guy will just like kiss her, and like she'll be like, no, but okay. And for the most part, I can like deal with that, but over the last couple of years, I've noticed more of that in the books that I read. And I know that that's like an issue some people have with romances, so I thought I would point it out. It's not my favorite thing to read about, but at the same time, I can get why it happens in a romance novel. That and the insta-love are kind of like my issues with all of the books. It's like throughout all of them. So the world building, it's actually pretty good. I get a little confused as the series continues about like who is doing what. Like there's just so many characters in so many places with so many motivations, and there ends up being like multiple plot lines, like not necessarily where you're like jumping around like a J.R. Ward book, but where there's just different stories continuously going on from book to book. So it gets a little confusing, but for the most part, I think Gena Showalter does a good job of navigating things, and she does explain a lot about like, you know, you get where all of the lords of the underworld come from. You get that. You get the Greeks, like you understand what their purpose is, and the other characters like the angels and the harpies and stuff. You understand their backstory, and it's fully realized and everything. So it's really not the world building that's weak, it's some of like the story crafting. I think the series is just getting too big at this point to really be contained. So last is what I recommended. So usually when I do a review, my answer is always yes, and part of that is I don't really feel driven to do a review of a book if I don't like it. A lot of times I don't have anything to say, so I'm not going to review it. This one, especially upon my reread, I would say is very up in the air. I would say if you read a lot of paranormal romance, if you've read other Gena Showalter books, if you've read like a Carolyn Sparks, or maybe like a Cressley Cole, and you like their books, then I think you would like this. Maybe if you like a J.R. Ward or a Janine Frost, I think there's a little better character development in those. Although I love Cressley Cole, do not get me wrong, and I enjoy Carolyn Sparks books, so I'm not saying those are bad things, because I enjoy these too. I wouldn't have reread them if I hated them or something. But if you tend to see a lot of like problems in romance, so like you're very picky, and you just see those as like warning signs or anything, or they kind of rub you the wrong way, then I would just suggest staying away, even if like the overall plot interests you, because unfortunately it is something that is a running line throughout all of the books. For the most part, the romances are like basic repeats of each other. Not that the characters are the same, but like their romantic development is pretty similar. So that is my series review of the Lords of the Underworld books. I do enjoy them. I will probably reread them again at some point, especially some of my favorites. Oh, I will say what some of my favorites are really quick. Darkest Kiss, which is Lucian, who's the Keeper of Death, and Anya is my favorite. I also do like The Darkest Pleasure. The Darkest Surrender really grew on me this time around. Before, I didn't really like it, and I thought it was okay, but I wasn't like, I did like it better this time. And The Darkest Torment I recently read, and that one is probably one of the better developed relationships, but it's not perfect. And I am very excited to read the most recent book, or the book that's coming out in June. Very excited about that one. So that's my series. If you've read these or have any thoughts that are non-spoilery, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. If you have any paranormal romance recommendations for me or anyone, you can leave those as well. I would love it. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!